welcome to our first ever 5-day cooking challenge. We're excited to get started, and one of the recipes we're going to be making is portobello mushroom fajitas. But we're gonna give you some tips, tricks, and kind of walk you through the recipe. You can certainly check out my blog and read the recipe there and skip this video. But if you're a person that likes tips and wants to see some things that we do while we're cooking, you've come to the right place. So let's get started. First thing, sometimes we're able to find portobello mushrooms at Aldi, and we would like to use those because I like kind of the big, thick slice cuts, but we couldn't find those, so I'm substituting with baby bellas. I'm also making this recipe for my family of 6, so I got 3 containers of the baby bellas. I also am just doing 1 green pepper and 1 red pepper, as well as 1 onion. You could switch those up into 2 green peppers or change out the color of your peppers, whatever you'd like. Then you're gonna need just some basic salt and pepper, olive oil, lime juice, and then garlic powder, chili powder, and oregano, and then some measuring spoons in that. And so with that, you can also add in some whole wheat tortillas that you're gonna need, and then some extra fixings like cheese, sour cream, avocados. If you want to add black beans and rice, you certainly can. But those are all things you can add at the end, and we won't cook through those, just through the base recipe. We like to use the 15-minute quick cook brown rice from Aldi. Cooks up super fast, and then canned black beans, we just dump them in a pot and heat them to make it go a little bit faster. But let's get started with our recipe. So the first step we're going to do is I'm going to chop some vegetables, and to do so, I'm going to use the Pampered Chef flexible cutting mats. And I have this Pampered Chef knife, and this is one of my favorite sizes because I'm little, my hands are little, and so I'm gonna be using these cutting mats and this knife. And the reason why I like these is because I can pick them up and bend them and dump into my pan. So let's get started chopping. I realized that probably 2 mushrooms, I know mushrooms cook down a lot, but I still think that 2 packages of mushrooms are going to be enough. So I'm gonna stop there and just do my 2 packages of mushrooms. But I do wanna give you a tip. I tend to leave these stems on. Some people wanna remove them. I just feel like it's a waste of a mushroom, and I can still use that, but sometimes the stems are a little harder and people don't like them. So it's your preference. Take off the stems and maybe do 3 packages, or leave the stems on and do only 2. You can alter this recipe slightly. The other thing is, I want to show you a way that I cut my peppers that I find super helpful. Okay, so I have a pepper here, and I used to scoop out the inside, but this is what I found easier. I cut down the one side, and then I lay it down and I cut, avoiding the seeds. And I continue to cut, avoiding the seeds, pop off the bottom, and then discard. Now I can cut this into nice slices, just like that. So, really nice, easy way to cut a pepper, and goes super fast without having to worry about getting rid of all those seeds inside. And our pepper is chopped. Okay, so now we're gonna make our marinade for our mushrooms. I am all about using as little as possible, little as cooking utensils. So I'm gonna pour a 1/4 cup of olive oil into this Pyrex. And sometimes I do measure it in here, and then when I do that, then I can just toss the mushrooms, but I decide I want to pour it over the mushrooms. Then I need a 1/4 cup of lime juice. If you're using fresh limes, that's about 2 limes, but I like to buy the stuff that's already pre-juiced. There's another brand at Fresh Time that people love, or that I love, that is already fresh juice, but the real lime, 100% lime juice from concentrate works too. Then I am going to use this adjustable Pampered Chef measuring spoon, and then I only have to use 1 spoon. So I'm gonna start first with my stuff that is the biggest, my 1 tablespoon of oregano, and put that in here. Then I need 1 teaspoon, sorry, these were teaspoons, not tablespoon, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and I use the same one. I don't worry too much. If you're really picky, then you can pour it out, but I just reach in there, don't mind cross-contamination there. A little bit of chili powder, and then garlic powder. I'm only gonna use a 1/2, so I'm gonna move my measuring up to a 1/2, and I probably will pour the garlic powder in here because I don't wanna mix the chili powder in. So I'll just kind of carefully measure And it's cooking, it's not like baking, so we don't have to be exact. Half a teaspoon of salt. Keep it on that half teaspoon. See, I'm only dirtying one thing. That's what I love about this adjustable one. Half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'll do my 1/4 teaspoon of pepper real quick here. And get that in there. Again, if you want, you don't have to measure either. So then I'm done with that. Then I can quickly mix it all up, blend it, and then I'm going to pour it over my mushrooms and toss it together. Okay, so now my mushrooms are all good, and I'm gonna let them, you can let them sit if you'd like. If you're in a hurry, you can go straight to cooking. Like I said, you make the recipes work for you. This is a recipe I found online. She actually like roasted the mushrooms in the oven. You can certainly do that if you want. I'll link to the original recipe, but I needed something that was gonna come together a little bit faster for my family. All right, so now we're gonna get cooking. Okay, so we have a pan, a large saucepan that I like with a thicker rim that I heated some olive oil in. You can use whatever oils that you love. Don't feel like you have to use the same. What do you like? What do you like the taste of? So first off here, mushrooms take a little bit to cook down. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump all of my mushrooms in first and let them cook a little bit before I add my onions and peppers. If you don't like your onions and peppers to be as crunchy, then you could put those in first and do your mushrooms second, or you could put them in all at once. You might also consider using a large stock pot if you prefer for this. But we're just gonna go ahead and saute our mushrooms for a few minutes until they cook down. So my mushrooms are cooked down just a little bit. I don't want to cook them all the way because I'm going to add some other things to the pan now. My onions, my peppers, and add those to the pan now. And the mushrooms should be about just right once I'm done and cooking the onions and the peppers. Why I decided to cook this in a pan instead of roast it in the oven is because it's a time saver for me. If I roast them, I have to do it for 10 to 15 minutes. If I do it in this pan, they're all veggies. We can certainly eat them raw if I wanted to, but I prefer them hot, and it only takes probably 5 to 10 minutes total instead of roasting, stopping, stirring, and then roasting again. So we'll let this go for a couple of minutes. Another tip, moms, while I let this saute, I walk over to the sink and I start doing some of the dishes. Maybe I get only a couple done at a time, but then I'm maximizing my time while I'm cooking. So while this is sauteing, I will go over and do a couple of dishes and then come back. Okay, so I'm cooking this on medium-high on my burner. I am using a larger burner, as you can see. As you know, if you have a gas stove, things cook. Certain burners cook higher or hotter. We're getting back late from church. It's almost 8 o'clock, so I needed to whip this up quickly. And so that's what I'm doing. And I like the consistency and the look of those peppers. I don't want them too done, but it's ready for me. So now we're gonna go plate it. All right, so to keep it simple tonight, we're just gonna do a simple tortilla with a little sour cream and pre-shredded cheese to make it fast. Sometimes I'll have the rice cooking and the beans, like I said, and put those on. We just had those last night with a different dish, and I just wanted to keep it super simple. I might even pull out an avocado and cut it up. Check out our YouTube channel for a quick way to cut an avocado. One thing I wanna mention here, another tip, we have these tiny little plates, right? They're Corelle. We used to have stoneware, and they're about 6.5 inches across, okay? And then I have this gigantic plate that is 10 inches across. They're quite a bit different in size. These are too big for me. These are too little. So when I was at the Corelle store, I found these medium-sized plates that are about 8 inches across. We used to eat on something else that was slightly smaller than this that was stoneware, and I find, here's a tip, you will put a proportion on your plate, or portion, on your plate to fit the plate size. So look at the difference in these. We try to eat on these instead of the big ones. Do I use the big ones? Sure, sometimes. Or if I have something big on it, but I prefer to use these medium-sized 8-inch ones. I throw the tortilla on. I personally put sour cream. Another great alternative, plain Greek yogurt. If you want to use low fat, you can. If you want to use full fat, you can. It totally depends on what you want. You could use regular tortillas. There's no specific things. You make the recipes work for you. Then I sprinkle a little bit of cheddar cheese on here. I don't put a ton. I'm gonna just put the rest of this bag because there isn't much on the tortilla. Okay, and then I'm gonna spoon out a little bit. It's a little watery from the mushrooms and from the marinade, but I'm gonna try to get, get some peppers in there and scoop out what I like, and put that on there. Don't fill your tortilla too full or you won't be able to wrap it. If you had beans and rice on here, you wouldn't need as much of this filling. Move this out of the way, hopefully you guys can see. So now I'm going to fold the bottom up, wrap the two sides in, and then to kind of hold it down, I just flip it over on the plate, and then there it is. It's off for my kiddo. So just know that hopefully this was a quick and easy recipe. I choose it to do this way because it cooks up faster. But I can't remember what time we got home, but I don't think I've been at this for more than a half an hour, if anything less. And it's taken me slightly longer because I'm recording, but really quick, easy meal that comes together. Be sure to check out our blog and our Facebook page, as well as Mac's TCP Kitchen and Sarah Brunn's insurance page for more tips. And remember, this is Jessica Stortz, helping you to maximize your time, health, and finances so you guys can live more intentionally in the moments of life. Have a great night.